Man, I had no money. Moved back in with my parents. I need money. Wholesaling is the answer to this problem. Is if you put your head down for 5 to 7 years and work your ass off, it is going to happen. Like if you take the consistent action, it's 100% going to happen. And when you get kicked, you cannot quit because that's life.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we have Tommy Harr with REI Real Estate Community. And Tommy flew in from Columbus, Ohio to talk about how he retired his mom at 20 years old by flipping real estate. Now, guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on the show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you take consistent action, you'll become one. And guys, if you get value today, please hit that subscribe button. That way we can accomplish our goals of creating more millionaires. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. So your journey started a little bit differently.
Yep.
So what was your life like before you got into flipping and wholesaling?
So pretty middle class. My dad is a home inspector. My mom was a teacher. And when I graduated college, I always told my dad I'd be his right-hand man. So one of 5 kids, the oldest boy, I became a home inspector. So
Home inspector,
right out of college, didn't think of anything else. And then growing up, he also had a property preservation business. So you know what that is but a lot of people may not know.
Yeah.
When the banks were foreclosing, 07, 08, 09 to maybe 2012, we were trashing out houses, boarding up houses, changing the locks, mowing lawns. So from the time I was 12 to 18, that was the business I was in. So that's really the stuff I saw.
So you got to be involved in the foreclosures.
Heavily.
Okay. So you graduated college when?
2017.
2017. And then you said, when was it? 12?
12, 13 years old, yeah.
But I'm sorry, what was the year you got into trashing out houses?
That was probably 09.
09.
2010.
Okay, so like you were knee deep.
Yeah.
As a kid.
In trash.
Yeah. What was some of the craziest things you saw?
I get that question a lot. That's great. I always go back to the story that, I remember walking through a house. I mean, you walk through houses now that you're older and you're in this stuff, but every square inch of this house was filled with just giant dog poop. And you had to like tiptoe around. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, that was probably the craziest one.
Did you guys ever rekey the wrong house?
Probably, yes. We've inspected full wrong houses before. Like we finish and we're like, oh my God, that was the wrong house. So that's happened.
Because that was like a huge situation in Phoenix, right? During the REO craze. Like Phoenix was one of the leaders, I guess, in foreclosures. And yeah, someone's house got totally like trashed out. And they came home and they're like,
and everything's thrown away.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was just the wrong house.
That's insane.
Yeah. So property preservation, that was your dad's business.
Yep.
Not his main business, but that was his other business.
Yep. So that was his side hustle that turned into a main business. So the inspections was kind of whenever he got calls, it wasn't ever his main gig.
Okay. So property preservation superseded, or it went ahead.
It did. It did.
So you're trashing out houses, but you still decided to go to college.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I was a soccer player. And my mom was a teacher. So grew up, my mom's always like, hey, you got to go to college, you got to college. It never was not an option to go to college. Okay.
Gotcha.
So went to college, studied finance and entrepreneurship. So I got a double major, just I liked money and I knew I was going to go work with my dad. So I had to get something.
Right.
So I played soccer, University of Dayton. So I really got a scholarship playing soccer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You played soccer at Dayton.
Yep.
Graduate.
And
just go straight to working for your dad.
Straight to working for my dad immediately.
And how long did you do that?
So I inspected houses for probably 5 years.
5 years.
Yep.
Okay. And then why'd you switch?
So during that time, even right before I graduated college, my uncle called me. He goes, Tom, do you want to invest in real estate? And it's funny how everything comes together. I was like, no, I don't even know what that is. I'm going to work with my dad. So we started doing home inspections. And during that time, this is 2017, going into 2018, Columbus started to boom like many other areas. So the areas that we used to trash out, change the locks, board them up, those areas were transitioning, people were flipping, and we did a ton of hard money draw inspections. So I was meeting guys like, I'm Terry Summers, Austin Rutherford, those people that were crushing in Columbus. I'm seeing the lifestyle they're living. I'm seeing the money they're making. I'm making $75 on a draw inspection. I'm like, this is bullshit. I need to go learn what these guys know,
Right.
So
you got to know them.
I got to know them.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, it just kind of brought back to the conversation I had with my uncle. I said, hey, let's revisit that conversation we had, but do you want to do it in Columbus? I'm not moving to Chicago. It's not what I want to do.
So he wanted to flip in Chicago.
He wanted me to move to Chicago with him. Yes. And I was like, can't do it, but let's revisit this because he's from Columbus and he moved to Chicago when he was older. So we ended up partnering up and started to learn about it. He put me on to Bigger Pockets, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of these things that really changed my life. But that first deal changed my life in one way, shape, or form, you'll say.
So let's talk about your first deal.
All right. So about 6 months in, so everything kind of went back to the inspection. So I was going to these hard money draws. I met a contractor through there who seemed like he was doing good work. He was like, hey, if I ever have a house that I can find for you, do you want to do it? And me be your contractor. So he put me onto this house, really nice area of Columbus. If you guys are listening to this, you know Columbus, Bexley, 6 bedroom, 5 bathroom, 4,000 square foot house, rich area, A-class, downtown. We bought it for $425. 18 months later, we ended up selling it for $710. We put about $250 into the rehab, doubled our timelines. Ended up losing $100,000 with holding costs and just overshooting ARV. We just did so much wrong. I lived in that house. So, it was either live in that house while we flipped it or live in my parents' basement. So me being 23, I wanted to be able to think I was cool. I wanted to put real estate investor in my Instagram bio. I was going room to room with one of my buddies and fixing it up as I was managing the contractors and all that stuff. Not even bed frames, just mattresses in the corners of the master. Playing Fortnite, being kids still while I was doing this, but learned a lot of good lessons.
How are you making your mortgage or your money payments?
So my uncle was the financing partner. So he was the financing partner, and we were going at it together.
So he came up with the down payment?
Yep. And he put a HELOC. He had a HELOC on his house.
On his house.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he was servicing the debt. We were doing the construction. He would pop in every 3 to 6 months.
Writing you? It was like, Tommy.
He was towards the end. Yeah, the relationship got sour, and I was like, man, I did a lot wrong. We both did a lot wrong. So I definitely have expressed how sorry I was for that whole situation. We just bit off more than we could chew. We thought ARV was.
You went straight to the big house. You didn't do something simple.
No,
you went big.
No, we went big, and I didn't realize that was big at the time. I thought we were just flipping a house because it was on a main stretch. Comps one street over, pocketed into a neighborhood were 850, 900 into the millions. We're like, this thing's gonna sell for 850 all day, and ended up not selling for 850, and we caught the bad end of it.
Gotcha. So at the end of the day, you lost how much?
About $100,000.
So how's the relationship with your uncle right now?
It's better. So we don't really talk as much. But
are you guys close in age?
He's probably in mid-40s, probably 45.
Okay.
So we don't really talk much. He has moved to Abu Dhabi, actually. He's a sales guy. He's in finance. He does pretty well for himself, but it definitely made things weird for a little bit, There's a lot of stories in between there. My mom was supposed to sell the house. She was a teacher for 30 years. I was like, Mom, get your real estate license. You'll sell it. He ended up at the end telling her no, went with another person. It just got the whole family situation got a little hairy there.
Oh, so this is your mom's side, not your dad's side?
This is my mom's younger brother.
Okay, I assumed it was your dad's side because he was already in real estate.
No.
The other side.
No.
Gotcha. Okay. So then it was like an even 50-50, like literally 50-50 on the loss?
Yeah.
Gotcha. How did you handle that? Most business owners waste their time and money on solutions that never fix the root problems. They'll address all the symptoms due to slow revenue, and because they're only fixing the consequences, the real problem stays hidden and the cycle of wasting time and money continues. It's like having a lingering headache that won't go away despite trying every over-the-counter medicine. When in reality, you should have just gone to the doctor and had them figure out exactly what was causing the headache. And that's what's so difficult about business. You can see and feel the symptoms and yet struggle to find it. Now imagine you can find a prescription that doesn't just mask the symptoms, but actually addresses the root cause. Where would your business be if you addressed that right now? That's what our sales event is about. Your marketing doesn't suck, your leads aren't bad, and your operations aren't terrible. It's that you haven't addressed what actually makes you money in wholesale, which is the conversations you have with homeowners. It's critical that you build trust with sellers, demonstrate that you fully understand their situation, know exactly what's keeping them up at night, and paint the ideal outcome that leads them to a better future by working with you. That's what it takes to get signed contracts and keep your business going. Simply put, at our event, you'll walk away with the framework, phrases, questions, documents, and process to close more sales and buy more houses. Join the hundreds of others who have come to our live event and dramatically grown their business. Our event is happening soon and is available for you to join only if you're willing to take the pill.
Not great. I moved back in with my parents, went back into the basement. I had no money again. So, I mean,
Did you have $50K and then you
not really. I've paid him over time and I've offered to pay him more. But he just never really was like, he's like, yeah, let's just cut the losses, you know? So moved back in with my parents. And just, I was like, okay, I over that last 16 months, I never stopped educating myself. So I was like, okay, I know this can't be it. I was still inspecting every day. And as a home inspector, you're driving around all day.
A lot of
So
time.
I was listening to Bigger Pockets every single day.
You're listening to
learning.
the podcast is the problem.
Exactly. So I was learning about everything. So wholesaling kept coming up. It was like wholesale. And I was like, okay, I'm young, I'm broke. I need money. Wholesaling is the answer to this problem.
Right.
So I sent my last $800 of my postcard into postcards. Ended up getting 3 calls on that and got my next deal. And this one was a much smarter deal. It was pinpointed in a better area, 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,100 square foot. I bought it for $57,000. I wanted to wholesale it. So I put it in contract and took it to some meetups around town. Nobody wanted it. So there was a deal makers meetup. I presented the deal. I'm young. I mean, I felt like it was a deal and nobody wanted it. I mean, there's guys like, like RJ Pepino was in there. Like nobody wanted the deal. I was like, what in the world? What is wrong? So I was like, I'm gonna have to buy it. So I called everybody on my phone. A family friend that lived up the road who's been a realtor her whole life was like, let's flip it. I'll finance it, but we're going 50-50. You're splitting half the profits with me. And I was like, done. Let's do it. So I ended up making $50,000 on that, split it both ways. And that was my first success. So about 24 months into wanting to be a real estate investor, I finally made some money.
So since you did so well on it, looking back, like why did everyone else turn it down?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I think ARV at the time was like 110, and maybe you got lucky selling it for 130. But it was an easy deal. Would have been a home run rental property.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like maybe because here 31, it's not sexy, right?
No.
Like we're gonna have to add a bathroom or something.
Yep.
But in Columbus, is 31 like normal?
Yeah.
So
Very
it wasn't because it was a 31.
No, not at all. I think I was marketing it for like $72,000, so I wasn't trying to make like a ton. It needed. Maybe because I did a lot of the work myself. I mean, I was painting it. I sanded down the floors. I did the cabinets. I did a lot of the grunt labor in that house. But I mean, still, it's a $30,000 rehab in our numbers today.
Right.
So maybe it didn't pencil at 70 if the ARV was like 115, not a ton, but we ended up making out on it pretty well.
So a lot of people quit before they get a deal.
Yep.
Right? Like they go in, they do this. They do the mailers, they do the cold call. Like I'm doing 10 calls a day. I don't know why I'm not doing a deal. Not getting deals. Right? They quit.
Yeah.
You got punched in the mouth with a haymaker.
Yeah.
How did you keep going?
Yeah. So for me, it was, I mean, if you quit, you're done. Right. And I was listening to podcasts every day of people that were successful. And then, I mean, you start going to real estate events, you start meeting these people, and you realize like the smartest people aren't always the ones winning. Right. It's usually the people that are kind of dumb enough to keep going and learning. So maybe I was just dumb enough to be like, okay, I can do this. And I just heard so many success stories that I was like, okay, I have to continue this.
So you had the conviction.
Yeah.
Like you had enough proof. Like this is real.
Yeah.
It's not like you're only seeing on social media. Like you're actually meeting Terry, you're meeting Austin.
Yeah.
Who were some of the biggest influences you had early in your journey?
I would say Terry and Austin, because I was in their market. I mean, for those that don't know Terry, I mean, he owns like 350 single-family houses. I mean, we were doing hard money draws for Lima One Capital back in the day, and I would swipe in my app, and he would be buying 10 houses at a time. And I'm an inspector. I'm still trying to learn. I'm like, what do these guys know that I don't know? This has got to be real.
Oh, yeah, because you're not just seeing it at the meetups, but you're actually
I'm seeing the houses, too.
Processing the payments.
I'm seeing the houses. I'm seeing the actual, like, draw, like their scope of work with the draws, and I'm the one telling the bank to give them the money. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is real. And I finally got Terry in the backyard of a house, and he's just like, keep hustling, keep your nose down. I mean, how he is, and it's true. Just kind of keep your head down, nose down. It's not always sexy, but just keep at it.
Okay, so then after that first one that made money, so your first 2 were flips. One you lost 100, second one you split 50. What happened after that?
So I used that $25,000. I was still living in my parents' basement. Went into contract right before that flip sold on a duplex. So kind of doing the whole young person, figure it out. So I house hacked. So I bought a duplex for $185, put $6,500 down. used the rest of that cash to do the windows, the roof, the siding. I laid floors, I painted, and then rented all my bedrooms out. The other unit was already rented for $800. My payment was $1,582, and so I chopped my payment in half, and I was like, okay, I don't want to make this payment. So I rented out all 3 of my bedrooms for $450, and $400.
So this is a duplex.
Duplex.
That's 4 bedrooms on each side.
3 bedrooms on each side. So I made a barn door. It's a typical duplex, at least we have in Columbus. 100 years old, kitchen, living room or dining room, living room. The front door didn't work. So it was like it was screwed shut, and we never used this middle room. So I was like, okay, there's something here. My buddy, he worked at the courthouse, which was 3 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, come live with me, $400. I'll let you have my room. I built a huge barn door in my living room, and I just bunked in my living room. And then we just moved the living room space over to here, and now I was cash flowing my own house. And I was like, all right, this is sweet. I didn't have, my wife's been behind me. I didn't have a wife. I had a dog. I didn't have a girlfriend. I was just like, I got to sacrifice and get scrappy about this thing.
Right. Okay. So then you buy your duplex. So you keep that one.
Yep.
Still have it?
Still have it.
Okay. So what happens after that?
So at towards the middle and end of that year that I lived there, wholesaling started to make sense more. I was making a little bit more money. I was saving money because I wasn't paying for housing. So I was saving money. I was still inspecting. And luckily, I met my business partner. This is 2020. I met my business partner at a home inspection. So I was doing a draw inspection for a hard money company. It's funny how it all comes together.
You just have like an inside pass.
It's insane. It's insane. So the funny thing is, we were, me and my business partner were waiting for the person that was selling it. The person that was selling it was Terry Summers. He was 30 minutes late because he was hungover, and go figure. And we just got to chatting. So he was in car sales. By the time he was 19, he owned car lots until he was 23.
Your partner?
My business partner. So old school sales. He said an old school guy. Brought him in, taught him all these sales, like on the phones, throwing stuff at him, like very old school. He ended up going bankrupt when he was 23. So then he was a sales manager for a car, a Nissan, a big Nissan dealership, and until he was 30. So I met him when he was 29 or 30. And he had just taken his lumps. He was starting to wholesale. He'd done a couple deals. I had now done a couple wholesale deals. And it was kind of just like this here. It's like I had the network. He had the know-how, how to call. He had the time. And it kind of just exploded from there.
Would you say that was the time when everything became real?
Yeah.
How much longer were you still inspecting homes?
I inspected homes probably for another 2 years after we got together. So 2022, middle of 2022 is when I quit.
Not that long ago.
No, wasn't.
Why did you continue inspecting?
That's a family thing, you know. I mean, it's my dad. I always said I was going to look after my parents. It was just this mental thing of like, I was help building his business. I hired an inspector. I was growing it, and it was growing actually pretty well. I mean, I was pounding the pavement. I was meeting realtors. I was inspecting 3, 4, 5 houses a day sometimes with him, and I was spending quality time with him. It was fun. Yeah. And finally, I was at a vacation mastermind, and I'd met somebody prior. And he looked at me and he's like, dude, what are your goals? I told him the same thing I told him before. I want to retire my parents. And he looks at me and he's like, if you inspect 1,000 more houses this year, are you going to retire your dad? And I was like, no. And he's like, what are you doing? And it was just like a light bulb. So I went to the beach that night, cried a little bit, talked to my buddy. And he's like, dude, you know what you got to do when you get home. So I went home, had the hard conversation, and cut it off.
What's a vacation mastermind?
So, like tab retreat. Did you ever hear that? Terry Thayer had a tab retreat. So it was a tab retreat.
Gotcha.
So 200 real estate investors coming, having drinks and networking.
Terry told you that?
No, it was Chris Papadopoulos, if you know him.
Gotcha. Can't say that I do. Yeah.
Crushing it out of North Carolina.
Yeah. Terry and I, we talked about it. There were a couple different times I was supposed to go down there, but it just never worked out. But that's cool.
Great event.
Yeah. Incredible event. I mean, it's a bargain what he drives.
Yeah.
Like, come out and speak, and we'll pay for you to be out there for a week. It's like,
absolutely.
It's a pretty good deal. If my kids didn't have school, it'd be an awesome situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's when it becomes real. You have your conversation with your parents.
Yep.
Were they on board, or are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like, hey.
So your dad wasn't disappointed because like the point was you were supposed to take it over at some point, and you said you were
kind
the oldest.
of. We never really had the conversation that I was going to take it over. But it was a pretty powerful conversation. We talked, and he's like, Tom, I didn't send you to college to do the same exact thing that I've done. I want you to do bigger. I want you to do better. And that was even more reassurance. I was like, boom, okay, like I got to go all in on real estate, not only to prove them right, but to make them proud and change the whole family dynamic.
Gotcha. So the way I heard of you, right, was I'm in Family Mastermind. You're in Family Mastermind. They just had an event a couple weeks ago.
Yep. Last week. Just came from it.
Last week.
Yep.
Yeah. And so like, I'm just, screwing around on Facebook. And then Matt Andrews, or I think maybe you posted it, as like, here is SOP. Like, no one talks about SOPs on Instagram.
Right.
Here is standard operating procedures on how to grow your Instagram followers.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck is this?
Right.
And I clicked on it, and it was like a legit SOP. Did you come up with it?
I did.
You sat down and wrote it all out.
Yep.
So you're detail oriented.
Somewhat.
Gotcha. What inspired that?
So one of my mentors, Austin, he was like, dude, this was, even when I was still inspecting, he's like, dude, you got to get on social media. You got to get, you're doing cool stuff. You're flipping houses, you're wholesaling houses, you're 26.
Walking through dog crap.
Like it's cool. People need to see it. And I was like, okay. So I did the whole thing of hired a videographer and they would follow me around and I would get stressed out because I felt like I had to do something cool. And I was like, and it wasn't really growing. So I went a whole year almost of like very little Instagram growth, but I knew I had to do it. It was working a little bit with just like showing people what I did. But I was listening to a podcast and the person in the podcast, they said, listen, entrepreneurs, you don't need a camera following you around all the time. 80% of the stuff you do is not that cool. The 20% is very cool. So what you need to do is digest that 20% and document it. So that completely changed it because I just started looking at my deal board. I need to, if we have 15, 20 deals on the board, I'm say, okay, what are we doing here? What lesson are we doing? What exit strategy are we doing here? What money are we raising here? Just like talking about everything. And then I just scripted out line by line.
You would script it.
I scripted out word for word. So every video you see on my Instagram is my words, me written, everything.
Same question here. A year with no traction or minimal traction.
Yep.
Minimal traction. Why were you still going?
Oh, I mean, just again, like I see people being successful and I'm like, this person is not smarter than me. Like I know, like they just maybe have done it longer and like, I just got to keep going. And I listened to, I think it was maybe Ryan Pineda a couple years back. And he was like, dude, the stuff you're going to be doing in the beginning is going to suck. Embrace it, keep going, don't quit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just been the way I've been with everything. It's just like, don't quit. It is worth it. And now like raising money is pretty easy because of social media. Growing, I mean, really deals, like it just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. I think Ryan definitely created a lot of waves on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was probably 3 years ago when he said that. That was actually at the Tab Retreat as well. I was listening to him.
Yeah. Okay. So you keep going.
Yep.
Despite like very little positive feedback. And then you go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we're going to present this differently. So you had a videographer the whole time.
Yep.
You're paying for this videographer the whole time. All right. So you're going to go back and document the lessons.
Yep. And
then you're going to record content.
Yep.
Whose idea was it for you to stand on a pile of junk?
That was me.
Okay.
So it was someone else. I'd also listened. It's like, hey, you got to make it quick, cut to different scenes, got to keep people's attention, right? So when I was doing it before, we were kind of just walking through houses, and I was like, oh, and this is happening here. And it's just boring, you know. So now it's very it's scripted. We're gonna go stand in a bathtub. We're gonna go stand on a roof. We're gonna go lay in a crawl space, and actually also while we do it, talk about real things. Talk about the house. Talk about raising capital. Talk about flipping them. Talk about wholesaling. Talk about the Burr method because we actually do all those things, which a lot of influencers don't. We actually do it, and we're doing it at a pretty high level. So it makes it easier to actually talk about it.
Right. You have a dry delivery though.
Okay.
It's like what's really popular right now is being intentionally dry.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're just kind of talking.
Yeah.
Where like it's funny. It appears funny, but you're not being funny.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Right? And I think what do you think is your formula?
Maybe unintentionally. I've never heard that. It's just kind of me being myself and like running through.
Well, because you just look at it and it's like, again, like, why is this guy on the roof? Why is he in the bathtub, right? Like, why is he standing on like 4 feet of whatever it is in someone's kitchen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's more for just like people to be like, exactly, what is he doing? And they got to watch it again. It's good for the algorithm. It's like, hey.
Great for the algorithm. Like, what is happening?
Like,
There's a lot of confusion.
I got to watch that again. Why is he doing that?
Right.
So that's mostly, like, I didn't want it was more about me reflecting on what I did wrong the first time. I fired the other guy, great friends with him, but had to change. And I was like, I personally have to do better. So I have to think of things the better way. I can't rely on these other people. So it was just completely changing the way I was doing everything.
What did you play in soccer? What was your position?
Left mid. Left to right mid.
Okay. Competitive?
Yep. Very.
Obsessed?
Yeah.
Constantly introspective?
Yeah.
What you screwed up during the game on the drive home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. That's probably part of it. Like you're going back and you're just beating up the game film, except your game film is like Instagram.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. So when did you know this was going to work?
I keep KPIs on it. So every week we keep KPIs on everything. So what worked, what didn't, and it started week over week growing by like 1,000, 2,000. So for the last year and a half, it's been growing for anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 followers organically. Never paid for an ad, never did anything, and it's just been growing. I get good feedback. People are like, hey, like I like your stuff because you're actually talking. I actually learned something. So the feedback's been really good.
What KPIs are you tracking for it?
So we track. What do we track? We track how many posts we have on each platform, how many views, how many story views, how many shares, how many website clicks, how many website visits, how many website clicks.
Per video?
No, in total.
Okay.
What else, Rob? Yeah, following and unfollows. So we're trying to figure out like, okay, what worked, what didn't. Do we say something that people didn't like? Are they unfollowing for a reason?
Yeah.
But that seems pretty steady. Like right for the last year and a half, it's been like 50 unfollows a day, and anywhere from 100 to 500 follows a day.
Yeah. What do you think those unfollows are?
Probably, I mean, bots, or maybe you say the wrong thing and somebody's like, you know what, I'm tired of this guy. Like,
my guess is the bots.
Yeah.
I think they follow.
It's got to be, right?
Right.
I mean, because it's literally consistently like 50 to 55 every day.
The only time I get like more than 50 when I say something political.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, well, we offended somebody.
Yeah, I try to
we offended a lot of people.
Yeah, I try to stay away from all that stuff.
Yeah. It was my opinions on masks.
Okay.
Right. So like I did this video for a bit. I was talking about like, in our office, because we're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Like no one wore masks.
Right.
And so I did a whole video. It's like, in my office, our policy is going to double mask, triple mask some days, get a booster every week, and all these other things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked dead serious in the whole thing, and but obviously I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I had someone so offended by it, like that I was recruiting.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't work here.
No
like,
way.
Really? Like that? It's like probably better.
Yeah.
Because I would have offended you once you worked here.
Absolutely.
Right? So, but yeah, so it's interesting. We always have those follows and follows. So, what is your, I don't know, I guess we'll start off. What is your budget for growing your social media?
It's really not that expensive, man. It's time. Time is expensive. I mean, it takes a lot of time to write everything out. So like on a Sunday, which is usually my writing days, it'll take 2-3 hours to write 10 videos, 14 videos. So the time part is expensive. And Robbie behind us here, he's full time. So he's on salary. So 50, 60 grand a year traveling. I mean, doing podcasts and all that stuff, growing the brand. But that's obviously worth it.
So 2 to 3 hours on Sundays.
Yep.
Just write all your scripts.
Yep.
It's pretty intentional.
It is.
Where did you learn the script?
Just started writing. So, I mean, I'd heard that you need to write a hook. So like, oh, hey, I lost 50 grand on this deal. And then you just write out why. And hey, we raised capital for this. It took 6 months to get permits and 12 months to rehab, and ended up holding costs for this. And this is why. So like telling the story of why. And then if you want to learn how to not lose money, hit that follow button or something, and then call to action at the end.
Gotcha. So worthwhile doing this?
Yes.
Okay. What have you seen to be the benefit of doing this?
The biggest one, a lot of it's non-ROI stuff. So like you definitely get deals from it. I mean, some of the best deals I've gotten have been from social media. People DMing you that you've never met, saying, hey, man, been watching you for 2 years, just bought my first house hack. Hey, just did my first flip. Thank you so much. They never paid me. I've never even heard from them, and they just shoot you a random DM. It's like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And
it's incredibly rewarding.
It is. And then lastly, I mean, raising capital. Yeah. I mean, yesterday I was trying to raise money for $900,000. We got 2 deals that we're closing next week and the week after. And I was kind of sweating it. I'm the money raising guy of my company. And I was just like, okay, F it. I'm going to go to Facebook. I'm going to go to Instagram. And I had 20 people respond back that they were willing to lend 50, 100, 150. I raised the $500,000 within like 3 hours of that.
What was your message to make that happen?
Hey, for those that don't know, I'm buying houses with other people's cash. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. I sign up personally. We've made our lenders $500,000 passively the last 2 years. If you're looking to make some passive money, truly backed by me, backed by my portfolio, shoot me a DM.
Gotcha. So, like people are watching this, right? The hook was retired your mom through real estate. We're not even talking about real estate.
Right.
So how you said you some of your best deals.
Yep.
If you were to break down your deals, are more coming from your social media or more coming from more traditional marketing channels?
Yeah. Most of them are coming from our wholesaling business.
Okay. But like from like your like direct to seller marketing or joint venturing, like how?
Direct to seller marketing and wholesalers within our market.
Got it.
Yeah.
So more from direct to seller marketing or more from wholesalers?
So we just switched our model recently. So I was doing dispo in our wholesaling business for the longest time, and we finally hired out full-time dispo. So as you know, when you hire full-time dispo, you have to make sure that they're getting paid. So before I would like half-ass dispo and I'd be like, oh, nobody wants it, let's buy it. And they would still work out, but then it constrained the capital of the business because we were buying it. And then if we kept it as a rental, and if you have to keep money in the rental, like you're definitely constraining the business. So we realized that.
And cash poor pretty fast.
Exactly. Very fast. So we changed that around. We hired a full-time guy, changed it completely. That was probably 6 months ago. So then we were like, okay, we still want to flip 15 houses at a time or renovate 15 houses at a time because our exit is flip or do the burn method. And we got to find those deals somehow. So that's my job now, to social media, go to networking events, talk to wholesalers, educate people, because when you educate them, and they're going to bring it back to you, right? So it's a lot of that.
What meetup events are you going to?
So I host my own events. A lot of them in Columbus. There's a few in Columbus as well that randomly people will throw.
Are you like a celebrity at these events?
Not really.
No. Are you sure?
I'm a normal guy, man. I mean, I'm a home inspector. I always tell people, man, like me and my business partner, we always have a joke when we do something. We're like, man, I'm just a home inspector. He's like, man, I'm just a used car salesman. It's like anybody can do this stuff, you know. You just got to be, I mean, like we talked about earlier, you got to be a little bit dumb enough to keep going and figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so you're doing, I mean, 350 deals in 4 years, right?
Yep.
You're doing burrs, you're doing flips, you're doing wholesale, raising capital. How many hats are you wearing?
Right now, less, which is good. And I'm definitely, my dad growing up, he's definitely workaholic. So like if I'm not working, I'm like, what is going on? Like I need to be doing something. So as I start to like not do dispo and I'm doing a lot of content, shooting a lot of content, going out and doing stuff like this, throwing meetups, throwing workshops. So a lot of it now is like going to the social media side, and growing. We have an education company as well. So growing that, making sure that we get the right people in there. And I still am looking over the flipping side of things. So I come from a construction background. I am training my project manager week over week.
So you're still overseeing the flips?
Yep.
You let go of dispo?
Yep.
But you're still in charge of relationships?
Yes. We just hired a relationship manager.
Okay, so you just hired a relationship manager.
JV guy.
Okay, so let's talk about all the different seats in your company.
Okay.
What are all the different roles inside your company?
So we have 2 acquisitions. One is a manager, one's senior manager, one's a regular act. We have dispo. We have my business partner. We have a full-time office manager, TC. We have 3 VAs. So 1 lead manager, 1 that does our data stuff, 1 that does dispo help. And then what else do we have? We've got, so my business partner, he comes from the sales background. So he does a lot of the day-to-day sales training with the guys, comp training, call training. So he's more of like the bring the deal inside. And then we're both kind of training dispo. And then we have a project manager full-time. He has a assistant, is a college kid that's kind of doing running stuff for him. We have, what else we got? We've got Eddie, who is we actually manage all of our properties in-house. So he's our property management team member. We have a full-time maintenance guy and a full-time VA in that business as well.
It's a pretty big operation.
Yeah.
What's your monthly overhead?
Like 60 grand.
60 grand.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now for direct to seller marketing? What are you guys doing for that?
Text and cold call.
Text and cold call.
Yep.
Still working for you guys?
Been our bread and butter for 5 years.
I believe that part.
Yeah.
Completely believe that part.
It still's working. So obviously, like with launch control, like dropping and all that stuff, it stopped. So my business partner's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So he built out a smartphone text blast for while they were trying to figure it out. So we were doing that, and then doing a lot of like one-off text messaging. We use REI Sift heavily. I can't answer any questions on that stuff. He can. It's like way different brains. But cold calling. I mean, we have 6 cold callers over in Egypt, 2 different companies. We use our CRI and RESVA.
Yeah.
And it's been consistent. I mean, 12 to 13 to 15 contracts a month with a $10,000 overhead spend.
That's pretty remarkable. Yeah, and Tyler Austin, the guy's super smart.
Yeah.
Like it's not a lot of guys. He's like, don't cross that guy ever. Like that's one of those guys you don't cross because
he's legit.
He'll figure out how to hack into your
house.
That's right. So really, really solid dude. So you come in today and you're wearing a shirt.
Yes, sir.
That says no guru, no fluff. What's that about? You spent countless weeks going back and forth with a homeowner only to lose a deal because the seller changed their mind, another wholesaler made an unreasonable offer, or what the seller needs from the sale, you just can't pay. Now imagine you've got the ultimate control on a property that you just locked up, meaning you're on title and every decision has to go through you, eliminating virtually every external threat. That's why the installment method was created. Through installment payments, you have full control of the property as your name is now on the title. Any decision the seller wants to make now has to be approved by you. No longer can they pull out equity, go with another buyer, or change their mind. Imagine combining the best of creative finance with the flexibility of marketing the property on the MLS to collect the most amount of revenue possible, all while having total control of the property. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The concept here is simple, but implementing is challenging. So visit wholesale2024.com to learn more so that you'll never have another deal blow up.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of goes back to the social media. Obviously, I come from a home inspection background. So I'm watching people's videos and people that I admire, and I'm like, everybody's talking about real estate, but nobody's talking about the house. Nobody's talking about like the actual, like nobody's talking about losses either. And if people are doing the volume that they say, how come I'm the only one that's taking taking some losses?
Right.
So these gurus that are online, they're just like, they're just selling you something. It's just like, man, these guys kind of suck. You know, so I was like, okay, the brand is going to be, I started saying after every video, and that's the real side of real estate. So it came to that. And then when we were trying to think about our, what we stand for, like we don't want to be gurus. We want to be normal guys creating extraordinary wealth. No fluff. Like we're giving you actual training and actual networking, actual tangible things you need to invest in real estate. Not just like any like BS, like read between the lines stuff.
Yeah.
And that kind of just stuck. That's our brand that we built.
Did you get burned by a guru?
No, never.
No. Why is it such a hot button?
I think it's a hot button kind of for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many people. I mean, you hear now like the scams coming out and all this stuff.
Oh, for sure, right? I mean, I think everyone as across the industry is pretty anti-guru.
Yeah.
But it's only if you're to like, right? You got let's see, Chris Rude.
Yeah.
Pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
Carlos Reyes used to be really, really passionate about it. I'm trying to think of a few other people. I mean, we always made the jokes here with like, the no HUD gurus, right?
Yeah.
But the marketing message wasn't like
Yeah.
anti-guru. It was just like, hey, we do deals.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, that's kind of what it is for us. I mean, it's just like, hey, we're normal guys. Like, we're not gurus. Like, when you come into our community or you come, like, you learn from us, like, we're not going to sit up like we're at the top of the pedestal. We're not those guys. Like, I can learn from you, even if you're a beginner, as much as you can learn from me. That's not how many gurus are. They're like, I do it the right way, the only way, and you listen to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Speak from on high,
Right.
ivory tower.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So, when did you start your community?
About a year ago now.
About a year ago now. And talk to me about like what's happened inside of it.
Yeah, so we teach how to wholesale and flip. We have about 180 people in there now. It's growing month over month. we have, I mean, just kind of, so I helped, so Austin, me and my business partner we helped him build his coaching program. So he came to us and he's like, hey, we're gonna do this coaching program. So we started doing that, and my brand started to grow over those 2 years. And after a while, I was like, hey, I got to start my own thing. I got to start my brand is growing. I gotta start something from this because I have people asking me all the time. So just kind of took what we liked from that program and what we didn't, and just kind of switched some things around. So we do a couple weekly calls. We have pre-recorded content. We work out of a Slack messaging channel to where you have 30 channels, whether it's raising private money, sales objections, sales calls, breakdowns, and you can ask questions in these individual things and get answers from industry leaders. So we have like our title company in one, we have GCs in one, we have all these people. So, and most of these groups are in Facebook groups. And I'm like anti-Facebook group when it comes to that, because one, nobody gets on Facebook, and two, like, how do you siphon to get like to a question that you need to get an answer for?
Right. So where is it hosted?
Right. It's on Slack.
The entire community is inside Slack?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, I hadn't either. So School, if I had done it now, I'd probably do it on School because I hear that's pretty good. But at the time.
Yeah, School right now, Discord for the longest time.
Yep. It's pretty much a Discord.
Yeah, but like, no, I've never heard anyone actually do it inside of Slack. So it's different.
We were already using Slack, so I was like, okay, let me just flip another tab. And if you can train people to use something new, they're going to always go to it, and they know what they're going to. If they're going to Facebook, they're like, oh, let me see what my ex-girlfriend's doing. Oh, let me talk about real estate too.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of distractions for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of different things.
Yep.
What is your thing? Like, what is your like message?
Yeah, so the message that we have is wholesaling and flipping. The message is, because I do have a business partner and he's good at wholesaling, and I know how to wholesale, but mine's probably flipping. So hey, you can flip houses with using other people's cash. It's not that hard. You just got to learn the tangibles.
Right. But why you?
Because nobody else is actually teaching the houses. So you got all these people saying, hey, you can flip houses, but they don't even know about the houses.
Right.
They're relying on a contractor to say, hey, it's this, that, and the other. But I don't know anybody that's building out like a full training on, hey, this is this siding. Hey, this is how you cut tile. This is how, and I build out a 50-hour training on that of how.
Cutting tile in there?
Yes.
Man, that's intense.
Yeah. With a wet saw. I'm out there with my contractor and he's like, and I'm like yelling over his ear. I'm like, this is how you cut tile.
So if someone wanted to even have a do-it-yourself mentality, like, I mean, you're going super deep.
Yep.
It's not like, okay, like, here are our favorite colors.
No.
Here's the vanities we like. You know, use this promo code at Home Depot. It's not that.
No. It's deeper than that, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting because not a lot of people do that.
No, because they can't, you know?
Right.
I mean, they just don't, like, a lot of people, they know enough to be dangerous, but they don't know enough to maybe GC it themselves.
Right.
So, and we can. We don't fully GC our projects out, but we damn near do.
Well, and it's probably really handy that you've been looking at houses since you were 12.
Exactly. Yeah.
Talk to me about the portfolio you built. Like, how many houses? Where are you with this?
Yeah, so we own, after last week, we bought an 8-unit and another one, probably about 85 units, 85 units, between probably 60 properties. So we got a couple small multis in there, and maybe like 50, 55, because we got a couple 8 units in there. We're buying a 9-unit next week. So 2020 into 2021, we were wholesaling a lot. And before that, I was house hacking. I house hacked 2 houses, bought a house, a couple, just like one-off rentals. But then once we started making really good money and we had the deals in front of us, and me and my business partner, we've been together for about a year and a half, 2 years. We started to know each other. We had been in bed for a little while. We knew what was each other's morals, ethics. Dude, we both want to buy rentals. Let's do this together. So we were just like, flipped a switch. And it was bad too, which a lot of people won't talk about it. We ended up buying a lot of our wholesale deals that we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have wholesaled them. And we restrained our cash so much. Like the debt we have on those properties are so good. But we kept so much money in some of those deals that we look back after, because you get private money, you do the deal, and then you refinance it. And if you keep money in, that money's illiquid now. So we look back and we're like, we know we have so much money. Where is it? And like this was a point like into 2022. We're like, we're gonna go bankrupt. Like what is going on? Where's the money at? And we look back through the cash in the deal and we're like, they're in all the properties.
Right.
So like, we got to get out of this. So we just started wholesaling like crazy again. So it was in 2022, I think we bought 40 units.
Yeah.
So we just bought like crazy, and we just turned the flips into rentals, and they're good properties, they're cash flow, but if I would do it all over again, I would be way smarter about it and not fall in love with the house.
I don't know. I mean, you're doing okay right now, right?
Yeah, we're out of it now. It's better, but
So it's momentary stress.
Yeah.
But probably, 20, 30.
Yeah.
Tommy's probably gonna be appreciative.
absolutely, 100%. It definitely scared the shit out of me, for lack of better terms, for 6 months, 9 months.
So you talked about the losses that you've experienced. Like, what are some of the biggest losses that you've had?
Yes, I had the $100,000 loss. We probably in the last year and a half, 2 years. Let's call it 2 years. We probably lost on 10 flips. End of, what was it, 2022 into 23, the market changed. People started freaking out again. We were trying to grow our flipping business, got caught with our pants down on a few, and just, you got to pay your private money off. So just take the loss and go to the next one. Most people, I posted my losses on Instagram too. People like to see that.
Yeah.
They like to see that you're honest, and they also like to see you lose. Those are the two things. So most people, most people will say, well, why don't you just keep it as a rental? It's like, why would I sink more money on a refi for a house that they don't even know if you can service the debt. It's like, yes, it sounds great in theory, but why? Like people just like to run their mouth on the internet.
I think those are just probably the less experienced real estate investors.
Absolutely.
Right? Because those are the ones that we buy houses from.
Yeah.
Right? It was an accidental rental. Like I bought this to be a flip, and I kept it as a rental. Like I've heard that story way too many times. Yeah. Okay. So what are some other painful lessons? You're talking about, the losses you've experienced, or maybe we'll talk about the biggest lessons you've learned along the way.
The cliche thing is, I came out, I was 23 years old. I thought I was going to set the world on fire. I was going to just immediately become a millionaire real estate investor, and got kicked in the teeth a bunch of times. And it's happened. Like I've done what I said I was going to do, but it took me 7 years.
Right.
I heard you in the beginning say you want to create millionaires in the next 5 to 7 years. That couldn't be more real. Is if you put your head down for 5 to 7 years and work your ass off, it is going to happen. Like if you take the consistent action, it's 100% going to happen, except you just can't, it's going to go like this. And when you get kicked, you cannot quit, because that's life.
Yeah.
It's taught me a lot of lessons.
Yeah. You're going to have massive body blows.
Yeah.
So if you could, let's talk about, we already talked about the 100K loss.
Okay.
So that aside, what are 3 of your biggest, most challenging situations?
Okay. So challenging situations. I would say as everything was going well in 2021, 2022, everybody was making money. I got wrapped up into a crypto scam. So Ponzi scheme, crypto scam. Lost 150 grand doing that. So me and all my friends, we were making money, and this guy was a derivatives trader. He's actually about to go to jail soon. Yeah, thank God. So got caught up in a crypto scheme. So that's another thing of like, real estate investors are very opportunistic. When they see something, they like it and they go for it. It's not always that. It's not always good to go do that.
We're not so good at due diligence.
No. So we all jumped in, and we should have known it was too good to be true. So lost a bunch of money that way. What other losses? I've lost friendships, jumping into like flips or JVs with people that I really liked as people. And then you see kind of, if you start to lose money, they completely change. So just really trying to vet people out before. I don't really like to do like business partnerships now. It's just not really worth it, especially with friends, because I value friendship and family more than, because when money changes, people start to change as well.
Yeah. So when things got hard, you saw another side of them.
Absolutely.
That you never seen before.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my buddies, we were out one night, and he was like, and he called it. It was right about when the market was about to change in 2022 to 23. He was like, dude, just watch what happens. And like everybody's going on vacations together. Everybody in our market. Columbus is a different market. Everybody kind of hangs out with each other.
Columbus is interesting.
It is interesting. And then once it changed, a couple of people that you thought you knew was like, that's that real person. Yeah. Which was cool to see.
Yeah. So these relationships are gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to stay pretty neutral and in the middle. I don't like. I try to stay out of gossip, because real estate is like almost like high school. Everybody likes to gossip.
I mean, it's a relationship business.
It is.
Everyone knows everybody.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of gossip going on. I'm like, man, this is like, I get into Facebook groups and people having arguments. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. No, I've from Phoenix, I've heard the stuff in Ohio.
Yeah.
So I said that Michael Smith was here a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. I said the same thing to him. Like, it's just fascinating how like Ohio is as big with all different gurus. I say gurus. I don't say that in a
Sure.
bad way.
No, absolutely.
I just like, there are a lot of
There's
people that
crushing
teach
it.
there, right?
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, like
Yeah.
how many there are there, because you guys are a lot smaller than
A lot
Phoenix,
smaller. A lot smaller.
right? But you guys have a lot. I mean, I think per capita, you guys actually might beat us in guru per capita.
It might be.
Yeah.
Might be. Maybe
So-
gurus that actually do the business too. So that,
Well,
that
for
helps.
sure,
Yeah,
for sure. But like, it's amazing how many are out there.
it is.
Okay, so the crypto one. So if you had to do it all over again,
Oh God.
what precautions would you have taken?
I mean, ask for references.
Mhm.
But even like the dude's family, like friends that were, I mean, when you smell something that's not right, just don't do it. I mean, he wanted people to go out and like recruit basically money for him to start trading with. It was like raising capital, honestly, like for a real estate deal.
Mhm.
And just if it smells too good to be true, just don't do it.
But crypto's funny. Like, it has ridiculous returns.
I know.
So you're like, how do you vet? Like, is he being unrealistic? You just don't know.
Right.
They can 100x and go to zero.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was like, he claimed he was derivative trading Bitcoin. So that was his thing. So he was day trading Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know anything about it. That's also the other problem. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds cool.
Hey,
And he just like fooled us with large words and big numbers. And it was like, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And turns out, no.
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate realities. So where was I going to go with this? So your intention at Tab was your big goal was to retire your parents.
Yep.
Did you retire your dad also, or is your dad still working?
Not yet. He's still working.
He's still working. Okay. You retired your mom.
Yep.
At 28 years old.
Yep.
How long ago was that?
So that was when I was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So yeah.
So
go ahead.
talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, so she's been a teacher. She was a high school math teacher for 30 years. And when I was doing that first flip, this was 6-7 years ago, I was like, hey, get your real estate license. Like, I'm going to start flipping houses. You're going to...
We got you.
We got you. You're going to crush it. And
Yeah.
so then my uncle tells her no, which is probably good because we couldn't sell the house anyway, and it would have been more animosity. And then I start flipping a couple houses, and she makes a little bit of money. She
So your mom was the realtor.
Yep.
So when you were flipping,
Yep.
you listed with your mom.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So she designed her house from the ground up. Great design eye, all that stuff. So she would start designing my kitchens, some of my layouts, and she enjoyed it. And high school's changed a lot from when I was in there. I graduated in 2013. I mean, I couldn't even have a phone out. Now kids are smoking vapes and doing all this crazy stuff.
Really?
In class, yeah. I mean, just
Vapes
insane.
in class?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not dad yet. My wife's pregnant right now, but I mean, we couldn't have phones out, none of that stuff. And it's all changed. And I mean, she's old school. And I was like, okay, Mom, what's it going to take for you to quit? What are you making? What does it need to be? So we started an Airbnb company, and she was like running the Airbnbs for a little while, which we just actually shut down probably 3 months ago. But she now sells all our real estate. So we're flipping probably 75 to 100 houses a year now, going into this year. And she'll get all of my listings at 2%, and she'll make 4 or 5x of what she was making as a.
You're still making her work?
Yeah. So I always say retire. I always do like one of these, but she gets to go on more vacations. She gets to make way more money, and hopefully here soon completely stop working. But she's only 55, and she's got a lot. She's incredibly high energy.
I'm just trying to picture this. So high school math.
Yep.
Freshmen, seniors. Freshmen, and they're
Algebra.
vaping in class.
Yeah.
That's just,
It's insane.
yeah. I mean, my daughter is in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, she'll be a freshman. I mean, if she was vaping, I think I would just slap her.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even know what else I would do as a dad.
But as a teacher, you can't slap them. Yeah. So it's just changed, and like, I don't know. It just was getting to the point where she was just stressing out about just everything. And I'm like, just quit. And she's like, one of 5 kids again. health insurance. It always came back to that. Like playing sports, everybody would get injured. And she was the one, because my dad was an entrepreneur, she was the one that always had the health insurance. She was always the one that we would lean on for the consistency. So I was like, so I had to change their mindsets of like, guys, money can pay for health insurance.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so finally, after she started, she probably made 250 grand last year selling our houses. And I was like, okay, like I told you so, you're good.
Yeah. So you see the oldest of 5?
I'm the second oldest, so I have an older sister.
Okay. So how old are your younger siblings?
So my younger brother is 26. He's now flipping houses. He's an inspector with my dad. Mallory is 25. She just quit her job to go full-time Instagram food blogger.
Nice.
And food creator. And then Will, he's 22. Might have just turned 23, actually. I always just get confused. There's so many. And he is inspecting and he's going to do some investing as well.
Gotcha. So you're really turning this into a family business.
Absolutely.
Was that the plan?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any issues with like maybe they feel like they're in your shadows?
I think maybe my little brother does a little bit, but he's done a good way of carving his way out. Like I have these huge dreams. Like I'm going around the country, obviously doing podcasts and these masterminds, wanting to do something bigger. He's okay with flipping 10, 20, 30 houses a year, inspecting houses still, doing that. So he's carved his own lane in that sense for sure.
How involved are you with your sister and her food blogging?
Not really at all. But we kind of have a competition about who gets more followers.
Gotcha.
So we were at 100 grand or 100,000 together. This was probably 3 months. And she took off to like 170 now. And she's like rubbing it in my face.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More people like food than real estate.
I don't know. Everyone's a real estate expert.
That's right.
Right? Everyone eats.
Yeah.
But everyone's a real estate expert. Like everyone has an opinion on real estate.
I know.
So like I have obviously the media in here, right? We have I have 5 guys in the media team.
Yep.
My brother worked here for a bit.
No way.
Right? And he loves to cook. And I was like, just hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
Pick their brains. Like you love to cook, like
just start posting.
Make a channel. Do something, right? And he's like, I don't want to do it. I was like, man, like you love to cook. Like you should do something with this. But he's content working in engineering. Okay, so 2 years ago, you said your mom, you did have her quit her job.
Yep.
I mean, what was that emotional experience?
I mean, it was good. I mean, it was just like, it all came together at that point because she told me 6-7 years ago when I said I was going to flip a house, she told me I was crazy. She told me to be careful. She told me all these things. When I went to buy my first house hack, she was my realtor, but she said, I don't want you to live in this area. You're not buying this house. I said, yes, I am. Like, it's kind of just me pushing through all of these objections of like, I mean, everybody says it like they love you, but they worry for you. And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm going to do it. And if I get kicked in the teeth, I'm going to take it. I'm going to get back up.
Yeah.
And it's given this platform now for my family to do way bigger things. We talk about, we're middle class. I grew up middle class. Like I said, home inspector dad, mom's a teacher. We never really were hurting for money, but there was always these objections of, we don't have the money for this, we can't do that. But we worked, like my dad instilled, you better work your ass off. Like, you better. So instilling that, but also like, why can't we talk about money at the dinner table? Why can't we talk about investing and all these things? And it's funny, the last 3-4 years, the conversations are fun now at the dinner table.
So you weren't allowed to do that as a kid?
I wouldn't say not, but we just didn't, It wasn't like something outwardly spoken about.
We need to hire 9 salespeople in the next 5 weeks. We launched our Done For You sales service just a month ago, and the demand for it has been absolutely crazy. We have all these people reaching out to us saying our sales service has been so helpful for them. Please get us more salespeople.
If you are in high ticket sales or looking to get into that space, if you want a calendar filled up with people raising their hands saying, call me at this time, please sell me, I want to be sold to by a highly experienced salesperson, we are looking for you to have that role. We want to take people who are good and make them great. People who want to be held accountable the same way Michael Jordan would want his coach to hold him accountable, to take him to that next level.
So if you want Ian Ross or myself to train you to get better at sales, if you want to be able to control your income, decide exactly how much money you make, and you want to work at a company where you value and appreciate it, we encourage you, click the link below. However, we're only hiring superstars. If you're not A+ caliber, don't click below.
So have you ever read The Ultimate Sales Machine?
No, I've not.
That's a great book by Chet Holmes.
Okay.
And he talks about like, to be successful in a career in sales, you gotta be pig-headed stubbornness.
Okay.
If you were to ask your mom, would she describe you in this way?
Yeah. Yeah. She described me in a lot of different ways. Ornery, but pig-headed. Yes. But exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
She's going to watch this and she's going to laugh her ass off
Yeah.
to what you just said, because that's to a T. She said I was a full-time job growing up.
So you were the one that breaking things,
Yeah.
lots of trips to the hospital,
Not really breaking like bones, but breaking
like-
the rules.
breaking things in the house.
More of just like breaking the rules, going out and doing things like as a high schooler I shouldn't have, always trying to figure out where I was, like always kind of a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is before cell phones were really prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely like Instagram came about when I was like a junior in high school. So there wasn't stories like the posts I went back through when I started like being intentional on my Instagram. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta clean this up a little bit."
I did have some stuff that it was MySpace. Right?
Okay. Nice.
When I got into real estate, I was like, all these things on MySpace that have my name in it. I reached out to all. I was like, we got to take this stuff down, right? Like, I'm a professional now.
Right.
Like we can't have these things out here.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So, what does your business look like today versus when you started?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was just everything was us bootstrapping. So me and my business partner, we were in the attic of our buddies. We didn't have an office until we went to the attic.
Describe that.
So he had a big office downtown, kind of where I live now, and you might know him, Sean Graybo. He's in the family. So Sean had an office. He was like, "Hey, I got this space. Do you guys want to move?" And my business partner didn't want an office. He wanted to be kind of a nomad. And I was like, "Do we need an office? We need to see each other day-to-day basis. Let's do this." So he was acquisitions, I was dispositions, only wholesaling. So we were like, okay, let's go up there, and then started doing some deals, hired an acquisition because he'd been on the phones for 10 years being in the car business. He's like, I don't want to do this forever. We need to hire somebody to do this, or else I'm going to drive myself up the wall. So we did that, and then we hired a project manager because we started doing some flips and just kind of grew it organically outside of that. So every time we were growing, and whenever we put our mind to growing one side of the business, it's like wildfire. It grows really fast because he's a smart dude, and we just are like, let's just go for it. And we're not afraid of failure.
Gotcha. And then what does your life look like today?
Oh man, so doing a lot of traveling. Social media has brought me to a lot of cool places, masterminds. I got married. My wife's back behind us right there. We got married back in June of this last year. So we've been married, 7 months or so. We're having a kid here in 3 months. So we're going to have a kid pretty much right on our anniversary.
Awesome.
So a lot different. Gonna have kids, and it's kind of everything I thought about in the beginning of I want to invest in real estate to build something that's bigger than me and my family. I want to like give something to them that I don't want to have to worry about money, but they're going to have to get hard work instilled in them. So a lot of
What's your plan for that?
I'm probably gonna buy a duplex to a 4-unit, put it in their name, or in a trust, whatever it is. And when they're 18, give it to them, and then I told her like doing the hangover style. I'm gonna get that baby strap. That baby's walking flea infested houses with me like by 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
They're gonna see what dad does for a living.
Gotcha. You said you're in different masterminds that open certain doors. Like what masterminds are you? What masterminds are you in?
So I'm only in the family right now.
Okay.
I would like to maybe do CG or something along those lines, but when those opportunities arise,
Pretty tough, man. Like Ohio, there's just
there's
many
a
of
lot.
you guys.
I know.
So many of you guys.
I know.
I think Sean's in it.
He is.
Yeah. And then open doors. You're saying that were there other doors that were open since?
No, just like the businesses that we've been able to create. I mean, more of a leadership role now. I mean, just taking what we've learned and do training with all the people that are in place now. I mean, we have a lot of humans in the office. There's a lot of human capital. There's a lot of things you need to be teaching. So teaching and leading is more my seat now.
Did you see that when you first started?
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been naturally like leader. I'm not really a great manager, but I like to lead from the front. I like to show and actually do what I say we're going to do and hold people accountable.
Were you the captain on your college team?
Not on my college team, no.
No.
I was injured a lot, and not as good as some of the guys. My roommate went top 5 to the Columbus Crew.
Gotcha.
just jacked. His name's Lalas, just jacked Ghanaian guy. I'm just like, Lalas, if you're watching this, you're the man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't in the cards.
No.
Yeah. So like, what freedom does real estate afford you?
Obviously financial freedom. I mean, everybody talks about the long-term holds, but we're so active in our business right now that, I mean, we're just kind of dumping that money back into our operation anyway. But I know that in the next 5 years, it's going to open up doors. It's a stepping stone. Like, you just don't know what you can do, or what businesses you can start, or what you can get into until you're into that upper echelon of you actually have some money, you have some wealth, and you have a little bit of options.
I mean, you're 30.
Yeah.
Like, to be where you're at right now. I mean, I started at 27, and it was not a good time to start. There are guys, right now, colleagues that have hundreds of houses all paid off.
It's awesome.
Right? Like, and they still wholesale.
It's crazy.
They don't even need to wholesale.
That's crazy.
Right? But they still, because this is their game. This is their fun.
Yeah.
Right? So like, it's crazy to think about, what's going to afford you.
Yeah.
What is your why?
It's always been my family since day one. I mean, working with my dad, that was the hardest part about leaving inspections was like, man, I don't get to work with my dad anymore. I tell the story of, so the reason why I really decided to go all in on real estate was I was 25, so 4 years ago, 25, I was at a bachelor party for one of my buddies, college friends. I've been working for 3 years for my pops. I get a call from my mom, and my dad's fit. He's like jacked, and he's been working. My mom calls to say, hey, dad's in the hospital. You need to come home right now. I'm like, what's going on? Your dad had 10 strokes. You need to get home. We don't know what's going to happen. So I don't have the picture in front of me, but I don't tell this story a lot, but there is a CAT scan or an MRI of his brain, and there's white dots everywhere. And the doctor was like, hey, if this was a game of landmines, like that old computer game, where if you click and you hit a bomb, it could have been over. So as I was kind of digesting this, and I was learning about real estate, and I was getting into it, I was like, man, like life, there's definitely more to life than getting up and working every day. Like you have to provide for your family, yes, but you have to be smart with that time and do something that can compound without you being there, which is real estate investing. So that was like the aha moment of like, holy shit, this could be over like tomorrow. Like I don't want him to work the next 20 years because like home inspections, if you don't build a business, any business is hamster wheel. You're just working, chasing the next
You
dollar.
also find
you have to
new realtors and network.
So that was the giant aha moment of like, holy shit. The guy that we all thought was invincible was always coach of our team, 5 kids, always smiling, always laughing, never really angry. Like, oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah.
So that was the big aha moment. And then family has just always been important to me. COVID happened, and like I said, I'm the stubborn one of the family. My family was like, you got to get the vaccine, do this and that and the other. And I never liked to get political about it. And I was like, no, I'm 26, 27. I'm healthy. Like, I've already had it 2 or 3 times. Like, why would I do that? And I'm trying to think logically. And they're like, well, you're going to kill grandma. You're going to do this. So long story short, they exiled me from the family for a little while. But during that time, our family all got together and got closer. So we do family dinner every Sunday. Every Sunday we go to my parents' house, except for my sister who lives in Cleveland. So 4 kids, they're my wife, the brothers, sisters, girlfriends, and boyfriends. We have dinner, we play card games, we laugh, we have fun, and we get ready for the week. And that's kind of our thing.
That's awesome.
It's super cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to.
I'm sorry.
Not to be around grandma, but to be around my niece.
Gotcha.
Right. So
Gotcha.
they were like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask you this earlier. You have the home inspector experience. What was that dynamic like in working with realtors?
Good question. I mean, you have to be a salesman, and I learned that pretty fast. My dad taught me that. He said, because nobody wants a deal killer inspector, right? So you have to be incredibly emotional, intelligent. So you guys are in Phoenix. How old is the oldest house in Phoenix?
It's not that old.
Not that old.
No.
Well, I'm in Columbus. There's 1800s houses. So being able to tell somebody, I mean, they're buying this is their biggest purchase of their life. And I'm a 24-year-old kid, so they're already doubting me. But I don't know what I'm talking about. And then 2, I have to tell them that this house has all the wrong things to it. And I don't want to blow the deal for the realtor either.
Right.
So you got to be very smart and conscious of what you're saying. So you're not like, you have to inform them, but also not crush their dreams.
You have to be aware without being, what's the word? Negative.
Yeah. So it taught me very early how to sell. And then also like, it was just old school, like door to door. I would go to all the offices. I would go drop brochures. I got CE certified.
Yeah.
I was teaching classes just so I can get in front of people and just be myself and get in front of people.
Yeah, because I mean, as a realtor, we had a lot of home inspectors come through.
Yeah.
And I just always felt bad because like
It's hard.
we just crapped on them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, just being able to play both sides is very important, because you get these like nerdy home inspectors that are complete know-it-alls.
Yeah, they don't stay in business.
No, they don't. And you got to be more of a people person and salesman than, unfortunately, the home inspector.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? Because you're killing deals.
Yep.
I mean, I had a guy that killed like 4 of my deals in a row. I was like, I can't afford to have you inspect our properties.
It's impossible.
Right?
It's crazy.
You're costing me commissions at this point.
Yeah, there's a couple people in Columbus. I'm like, how do these realtors still hire these people?
Yeah.
It's like everything's in red. It's like, how are you making a report that's everything's in red?
I think for those realtors, that's the right fit.
Yeah,
For me, like if I keep using you, I'm gonna have to get a job.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so taking that and then moving into this side
Yep.
of the business where you are, I imagine, developing relationships with realtors.
Yep.
How has that experience translated over?
So the biggest thing has been, so when I was going on seller appointments for our deals, like when you know more about the house than they probably do, it's a good feeling. And like if you can school somebody on their house a little bit, they're like, oh wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. Most wholesalers, they don't know that stuff.
No.
So they're kind of just going with the flow, BSing their way through it. But I knew the house, and I knew at this point pretty much how to sell, at least in person. So
You knew what was probably wrong with the house.
yeah, and I'm pretty good with numbers too. So like, when it makes you pretty unstoppable when you know all those things. So if I walk a deal from a wholesaler, or even look at pictures, and I can educate them. Once again, it's the same thing about with the inspections. I'm educating them, because most people you'll send a deal to them, and most of these people respond back and be like, "Terrible deal, you're an idiot." I don't do that. You educate. Say, "Hey, this is why I'm thinking this. You missed this, this, this."
Yeah.
Educate, so then they can go back and either talk to the seller, renegotiate, and bring it back to you. Or the next thing they do, they learn and they bring it back. But if you just poop on them, no, like no, I see that all the time. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Not building long-term businesses.
No.
Yeah. So there's something I say. I like your opinion on this.
Okay.
Right? Because again, I started off on the realtor side.
Okay.
So I got the realtor hat and then house buyer hat and then reluctant flipper and so
Still
on.
licensed?
Still licensed.
Wow.
Yeah. Got rid of the brokerage.
Okay.
Like I was a real estate broker as well because I'm on a brokerage.
Okay.
So the things I've said is you can smell about how much it's going to cost to rehab this house when you walk in through the front door.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different smells.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you do this long enough, I mean, walk through a house, I mean, you can kind of ballpark what something's going to cost.
This is light, medium, heavy. Like the moment they open the door,
Yeah.
and
smacks
the
you in the
smoke
face.
comes out, like you know how much rehab is going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to like inspect.
No.
At least that's been my opinion. I've said this in our trainings, but
Yeah.
you're actually
Yeah, I mean that mixed with like era of house. So like I already know like different areas in at least my market, different types of houses, different ages. So I already know going in what I should expect unless proven otherwise.
right.
So I know some areas that they're in the 40s, they have foundation issues. So I'm going in, and other than that, and just like you said, smelling and seeing what I'm going to get into, and you know pretty much right away, because people are nasty, very nasty.
They're consistent.
Consistent's a good word for
They're
it.
consistent, right? It's either gonna smell really bad or it's gonna be clean.
Man, and when I bring new people on, they're just astounded. I'm sure you've been like this.
Yeah.
People really live like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why somebody told me that I don't eat at company potlucks anymore.
Yeah, there's that. I
Yeah.
think the only thing you can't smell is the foundation issues.
Yeah.
But like this, like depending on the age of the homes, like okay, aluminum wiring,
Right.
right? Or we're gonna have to redo the main sewer line.
Yep.
Like I just know in this neighborhood,
Yep.
we're gonna have to redo the main sewer line.
Yep.
You just know that going in.
Absolutely.
What is your biggest struggle today?
Biggest struggle today. and we've got a lot of things going on. And I can bounce.
I counted all those hats.
I can bounce around from thing to thing, and I find myself some days, like at the office, I'm like, I didn't get anything done because I had so many things that I could have done, and I'm kind of bouncing and just peeking in, but just getting really intentional about completing something important every day or a few things that move the needle instead of just kind of being there to be there, like in spirit for the team.
Yeah. What are you doing to get better at that?
Building the team. So the way we've built our entire staff from the very beginning, and I can't take credit for this, has been my business partner, because he knows what he wants. So letting people have autonomy within their roles. So from the very beginning, letting people have say in the choices that we make, the way that we're doing things, and letting them make mistakes. Like, I will buy a deal if my acquisition team says this is a deal, even if I know deep down it is not a deal. I will lose money or break even on a house to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
But it lets them pull the trigger on things,
Right.
and they know that, like, we're not going to freak out. We're not going to fire them over it, but the autonomy to do that is huge.
There's a lot of wisdom there.
Yeah.
Especially for a young guy.
My business partner went bankrupt when he was 23.
Okay. So
he's taught me a lot of things as well.
Gotcha. So for those that are listening that don't realize why you behave this way, why do you act that way?
I don't know, man. I've just been in a lot of rooms that people have done way bigger things than me, and I ask a lot of questions of them. So, like, I mean, that's why you pay to be in masterminds. That's why you get around these types of people. You ask the right questions and you get the right answers.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'd rather lose money on a deal than have you lose your confidence.
Yeah.
And now you got to ask me every question.
I hate that.
Yeah.
So that's like usually the first question when they're like, "What do you like? Hey, can you tell me this?" I'm like, "Well, what do you think?" And that's always my first question. It's like, "Hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
Tell me it."
How do you stay motivated?
Obviously, I'm money motivated. I mean, if money doesn't motivate you, I think that's kind of crazy. And then just it varies from time to time. But now it's having a kid. It's like, I know when that little dude comes out, I want to have the time to spend with him. So I'm motivated to free that time up and make sure that my business can actually mostly run. I'm never going to be this guy who, like, I can step out of my business and it runs. I can't. But I need to be able to run it from holding a baby in my hand or have a new normal, you know?
Yeah. Or you're talking about the hangover thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to see that on IG.
Absolutely.
You're going to be standing on a pile of junk.
Yeah.
With the baby in the front.
Yeah, Maddie, she's behind me. She's gonna be laughing, but she'll know because I'll put on my story that I have fleas, and I'll be driving her car, and she'll call me. She's like, "You better not get in my car with those fleas." And it's gonna be the same thing with his name's Beckham. It's a boy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the same thing. It's like, "I saw you in that house. I saw the video. You better not come home. You better watch him."
You gotta have the big sunglasses.
Oh, absolutely.
To go with
great.
That. Gotcha. All right. How do you measure success?
Oh, that's a good question. How do I measure success? You know, I'm probably not that great at that. It's always a moving target. So it's one of those things. I'm very ambitious. In the beginning, it was vanity metrics. It was, I want to have 100,000 followers. I want to have 100 units, all these things. My mom called me the other day randomly. I mean, we talk every day because she's my realtor and we butt heads. We're very, very headstrong, both of us. And she called me and she was like, "Tom, it's been like 5 years since we do this. We talk all the time. I just want to let you know, like, I think this has slipped through the cracks, how proud I am of you." And I was like, "Fuck, that's insane."
Yeah.
Like, I already knew that they were proud of me. It was always kind of a given. But she looked me, she called me and she's like, I just feel bad that I've not said it. And I was like, "Damn, that feels really good." And that was, to me, I was like, "Damn, that's makes me that's successful to me." Like, my family is somewhat good. I'm not gonna say we're incredibly well off already, but like, we're better than we were, and that's right. Successful.
That's awesome. So is that something that you said your mom doesn't do that normally?
Not really.
Yeah.
We butt heads a lot. I mean, she comes into the renovations and everybody will laugh. She blows up every budget, like, right away. She's like, "What are this? Can lights everywhere. It's like a highway of can lights." She's like, "All this on like a $100,000 house." It's like, "Mom, we can't do this." So we're butting heads and all this stuff, but it always works out. And it was always just kind of a given. I mean, my dad, he every now and again we'll go to a basketball game together, and he'll text me after and be like, "I don't say it enough, but I'm proud of you."
Yeah.
But I don't think it ever came really from my mom, which was cool.
Yeah. what is your superpower?
I would say leadership, and just leading by action. So when I say something, I'm going to do it whether I fall and get back up. And my team really, really looks at me for that.
Yeah.
Like when we have a wholesale deal that nobody is buying because it may be on well and septic, and we just truly feel as a company that it's a deal, I'll buy it. I'll raise capital. I'll buy it. We'll put it out there and just say, you know what? I'm not scared. So leading from the front and being there for my people.
Gotcha. And what has been your biggest regret?
Biggest regret? Oh, man. My biggest regret would be buying that first house with my uncle and losing $100,000. But also at the same time, it wouldn't be, I was 22, 23 years old. I thought my shit didn't stink.
Yeah.
I thought I was the man. I thought I was going to do everything and everything.
Right.
And it just right away said like, this is real life. This is not how it goes. So biggest regret and also biggest positive probably at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's just tuition.
It is. It is tuition.
Yeah. And what book have you gifted more than any other?
Who Not How. Great book. I'm assuming you've read it.
Yeah.
Just that idea was life changing. I mean, being able to utilize virtual assistants, being able to kind of give a little bit of power up to run a business has been massively important to our growth.
We talked about this. No, he was talking about right seats. Right, get the right people, right seats. So Who Not How, I think is a great book. I went through Strategic Coach.
Okay.
Right, with Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
Long time ago. And I think that Who Not How for me is a little incomplete.
Okay. Why so?
Because you have to find the right guy, but there's like a lot of information about what the right guy looks like.
That's true.
Right? Like, how do we identify what the right guy is? Yeah. Right? So I think it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Great concept. Great place to start. Just like E-Myth.
Sure.
Great place to start.
Agreed.
But then you still got to screw up a lot.
That's right.
To find the right who.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a good question, who, not how.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up questions are kind of little left to be desired.
Sure.
Yeah. But for sure, leadership, right?
Yeah.
Like you're leading people. You're not leading tasks.
Right.
Right. You're not leading projects. You're leading people. So
Yeah.
That's definitely huge. How can someone get a hold of the community?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me, TommyHarr05 on Instagram. I'm super active. I respond to all my DMs. And then realsidecommunity.com.
Gotcha.
We've got people quitting their jobs all the time, going full-time in real estate, flipping houses, changing their lives. So it's been super fun to help as many people as we have.
That's awesome. So I want you to think about some last thoughts you want to leave everyone with. Again, guys, if you found this to be valuable, please subscribe. Help us create more millionaires. What are some last thoughts you'd like to leave everybody with?
The last thought is typically this stuff, it is going to work in 5 to 7 years. You got to keep your head down, make sure your goals are aligned, hit the pavement every day. You can't look at, nothing's going to change on a day-to-day basis. You got to look at chunks of your life, 90 days or 90, usually it's 90 days, and look back and see how far you've come. So wake up, chip away at it, and be relentless in your actions every single day.
That's awesome. Pig-headed stubbornness.
That's right. Pig-headed stubbornness.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Peace.
Jump on the Steve Trang. We real estate disruptors.